Well, better late than never. This is my 2-month update of Lambda school. And, last video I felt like I rambled on, so this one's going to be a lot quicker than the last one. I'm just going to give you a technical update. So for month 1, we learned HTML, CSS, the basics. Then after that, we learned CSS preprocessors. I learned less, but it's basically the same thing as SAS. It's just a couple keywords are different here and there. After we learned the basics of CSS, we moved on into basic JavaScript. We learned about functions, we learned your basic data types, basic things. Then for build week, which is at the end of module 1, you get to do a build week. And all I had to do was build a marketing website, but I ended up working with within a team that built a weightlifting app. And because of my beginner knowledge, my role was limited to just making a marketing page. That was the minimum viable product that I had to deliver for that week. It was really fun. I got to work with a lot of people that were way farther ahead than me, and some of them expressed what I should be focusing on in order not only to get through the curriculum, but also to become a better developer. And I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, when month 2 came around, we were learning React, and React is a whole lot different than just vanilla JavaScript. I was expecting it to be a lot easy because libraries make it easy, but the whole concept of passing props to components just blew my mind the way it was done. So if you don't know, React basically is a front-end library that is used to build single app or single page applications. Single page applications don't reload. You click on something and that one thing updates. Or if you have a feed, only that feed updates rather than you refreshing your whole browser. Now, everyone says that it makes the front end a lot easier because you're not constantly making requests to the server, and it's really good. But if you don't know anything about React, it's way different than just vanilla JavaScript. For learning React, we learn functional components or React hooks. Rather than learning the classical class components, because React is moving away from that to make it a lot accessible. So we learn functional components. So it was really fun to do at first. Once I actually got it, because it was so difficult when I first started dealing with passing props around, that was just something that my mind wasn't used to. But when I got used to it, I could see how it's a lot easier than just building everything out with vanilla JavaScript. It was really fun. I made a couple basic projects, but I had a blast. Unfortunately, once we got to React Router, it became a little bit more confusing. React Router is what prevents your application from reloading or making any server requests, and only a particular component uploads. That was a little bit of a headache. Then we got into using React libraries such as Formic for form validation, and to be fair, I don't remember much from it. I hate Formic. The way it was taught, I don't think it was very engaging, and therefore I wouldn't recommend it, but it is part of the industry. So if you're looking for a React developer position, you might deal with these third-party libraries that are not fun to learn, that change the way your code is written just so that their library works. This was a hard month. I'm not gonna lie. It was not what I was expecting. I ended up learning a lot, which is great. Unfortunately, I feel like I needed more time to grasp some of the context. But then again, that's what bootcamps are for. They're not meant to teach you everything. They're just meant to guide you in the right direction, teach you the basics so that when you do your own research, you should feel comfortable with it. Then I got another build week at the end of this module for the month 2 update, and this one was a little bit more difficult because my role wasn't just to build a static marketing page. This time, I was one of the React developers. My team had a HTML5 and CSS marketing page person, then a React 1 developer, a React 2 developer, and then a back-end developer. So between all of us, we had to combine our knowledge to make an application. and it was tough. The group, or sorry, the assignment for our group was a little bit difficult. All we had to do was make a dashboard that allows this company to build third-party. It was confusing. Like we were supposed to make this dashboard that allows you, or allows the users to build an application. I mean, that just blew my mind. It was so difficult, so we ended up doing the very basic task. We passed build week, but this time I don't think that it was as fun as the other times. Build week 2, it felt more of a chore. It wasn't as fun as build week 1, but build week 1 you could do your project in one day and then spend the other days just adding styles to it. But build week 2 was a little bit hard, and I know that build week 3 is going to be even harder because now we're moving into more advanced things within React. And when build week 3 comes around, I'm going to be the React 2 dev, and I'm basically going to have to do all the I'm going to be making all of the components that deal with requesting data from the server, from the backend. And I hope that for build week 3 we get a good backend. Build week 2 was a great he was a great backend developer. Unfortunately, other people that I talked to, they said that some of their backend developers weren't even available. Some of them dropped the course midway through build week because according to them it was really hard. But thank God that for my 2 build weeks that I had, both of the developers for the backend were awesome and they were pretty on top of everything. So hopefully for build week 3 we continue that streak. Just like I said last video, you don't really need to go to a bootcamp. I go to Lambda. I chose to go to Lambda. If you want to know why I chose to go to Lambda, it might help you to see my first video on my 1 month update. For this month, I can see how Lambda gets difficult. And yes, it's really stressful. It's really difficult. For me, I am lucky enough to not have children at the moment, and my family supports me while I do Lambda. But if you have if you have a family and you also have a full-time job, I find it difficult to do the class. And it's really heartbreaking when you see people getting flex back. Lambda has a flex program that is basically like redoing a module because you didn't pass it, and they don't allow you to move forward until you pass that module. And every day on the class chat in Slack, you see at least 1 or 2 names saying they left the group, and that is really discouraging for the people that get flex. But it's a necessity, and if you get flex, don't see it as a bad thing because they're giving you another opportunity. Some boot camps, if you fail, you're out, or you're out of whatever money you put in, and they don't give you the certification, and it becomes difficult. So one person in my individual study group, they ended up flexing, and we just kept telling her that not to be discouraged, and she fell back about a month. She's gonna have to redo that month, and something that many people can't afford is to redo a month. If Lambda is 9 months long, and you have a family or a full-time job, 1 extra month on top of that must be heartbreaking. It must be very, very discouraging. And I am trying not to get flex, but if I do, which I probably, there's reasonable expectations that I'm probably going to flex because things are getting hard, and I'm not everything that we're being taught sticks right away. So I end up spending like 4 hours outside of the 8 required hours of Lambda just studying every day. So I spend 12 hours in my computer every day coding, or at least reading articles about the topic that we're trying to learn. For my 2 month update, it's hard, but that's the whole point of a boot camp. Hopefully everything that we learned so far helps us to get better as developers, not only as developers, but also to land a job. And just like I said in my first video, you do not need a boot camp. You don't need anything. You don't need to go to a college. If you have the discipline to do it, you can teach everything yourself, because all of these companies, whether it's Facebook, Google, Twitter, they make these technologies and they write the documentation right away. You don't have to go to a boot camp. You don't have to go to college. The information is out there and it's free, because these companies are not going to spend millions of dollars developing a technology and keeping it behind doors. They're basically making it open. Almost everything becomes open source, so you can contribute, or at least the documentation is available if it's not open source. You don't need to go to a boot camp. If you really want to learn, you can be self-taught. The reason I chose to go to a Lambda school is because I was trying to go the self-taught route, and I felt like I was stuck in tutorial hell, where I was doing a lot of tutorials and I was learning a lot, but when it came to applying things outside of that tutorial, I felt like I couldn't do it. So with Lambda, I've been doing some personal projects, and I feel like I can apply that knowledge to my personal projects. So my recommendation is, if you're considering Lambda, consider it, but you should always keep in mind that they're not teaching you anything that you couldn't learn yourself. That's my review for month 2. Now, I'm not being asked by Lambda to make this video. I'm not endorsing Lambda. Anything that any bootcamp teaches you, you can learn for free. Because these companies, they spend all this time and money developing a technology so that they become industry standards, and they write the documentation out. So you can probably find a lot of tutorials. So the reason I'm doing these videos is mostly for myself. It's kind of like a creative outlet, because I enjoy making videos. I enjoy editing videos, and that's something that I don't really get to do right now because the curriculum is really intense. But if you're seeing this video because you're considering going to Lambda, you should always consider the positives and the negatives. And recently there's been an article by The Verge about the negative things of Lambda. Sometimes you should read the article. Now, I don't think that the article is relevant if you're doing web, but the article is relevant if you're doing other courses. Lambda has been fined by the state of California for not being properly registered. I heard that they're no longer accepting any more European students into the class because of regulations or things like that. So, I mean, I am not an admin. I'm not an administrator of Lambda. I don't know what's going on. All I can say is my experience, and all of these videos, the ones to come, the ones I have already done, and including this one, is just my experience. So I'm gonna link the article by The Verge down below. I don't think it applies much to the web development classes that Lambda offers. Oh, speaking of, The Verge mentions that TLs, or team leads, or whatever you want to call them, they're basically like tutors. So every day you report to your TL and you are in a little group, and the TL helps you, or if you have any questions, that's where you do it, and you can always reach out. A lot of the TLs, they're Lambda students themselves. They may be probably a couple months ahead of you, so they're not industry experts. So that's something that was mentioned by the Verge article that I linked below. And I think, yeah, it's true. My TL, he's only like 4 months ahead of us, but guess what? It inspires me to get as good as he got, because he started Lambda school without knowing anything. He had no prior coding experience at all. He was an English teacher. And even though he's only 4 months ahead of us, he has been able to answer most of our questions in my little group. And he aspires to get better. So when we ask a question and he doesn't know it, he will tell you he doesn't know it. But we research it right there and then. We don't wait for it. He doesn't write it and then forgets. If you have a question, you're always gonna have to end up Googling things. And a lot of the resources that Lambda uses, they're articles, they're open source. You can find them for free. But like I said, what Lambda offers is a path. They tell you, do this, do that. Here's some information. But the information itself is publicly available. If you're watching these videos considering Lambda, you should always consider that yourself. for me so far, Lambda has been worth it. I thought this was gonna be a better organized video, but I guess I ended up rambling in the end. Hopefully it's more entertaining than the first one, because I can't even watch myself speak for so long. I kept saying and you know, and so often, and I don't remember if I did them in this video. I mean, I need I did it again. Anyways, peace out.